Hello loves and welcome to today's reading vlog. I am going to an NHL game on Thursday. It was a Christmas gift to my dad to take him to see his favorite team. So I know nothing about hockey, like at all. Like I probably knew some stuff way back when I was like in school and had to know, but I've blacked all of that out. So in order to catch myself back up to speed on the rules of hockey, I'm going to read Icebreaker. Will this actually teach me anything about hockey? Will it be an educational experience? Probably not. But will it be a good time? We'll have to see. So I have 3 days until the game and I'm going to read this and take you guys along. So I started Icebreaker on my lunch break and I do not have any opinions on any of the characters or the plot yet. We're barely in here. But right after the acknowledgements, before we even get into anything else, there is a playlist in here and I'm already forming some preconceived notions about how I'm going to feel about this book based solely on this playlist. I won't specify which songs, which artists, but there is one song on here by an artist I absolutely hate, and only one song on here that I actually like. All of the other ones I either don't recognize or I'm like, I recognize this artist but don't know what song this is. I'm concerned that I am not the target audience for this book based solely on that playlist now. And like, I listen to popular music. I listen to a lot of music and a lot of breadth of music. My playlists can go from metal to pop to country to, I don't know, bardcore. Been really into that. Electro swing. I got a lot of genres covered in my playlist. I only like one song in that playlist and that already has me concerned about this book. So I will have to read through and see if the author can redeem themselves from that terrible playlist. Or maybe I'm in the wrong. I'm probably in the wrong. It's probably just my weird taste in music, but not filled with a lot of trust now. So I just got home from book club. We did Moon of the Crusted Snow, which I do recommend and was a very good book. And I did finish the first 100 pages of Icebreaker. So in terms of the actual plot of the book, the male main character is a hockey player. The female main character is a figure skater. They're at a university that has 2 rinks. How bougie. And the hockey player's usual rink gets sabotaged, so they have to share a rink with the figure skaters. And I think it's supposed to be a rivalry, but I think we're like 100 pages in and it's already not really that big of a deal anymore. And so our female main character, Anastasia, she doesn't like that she has to give up some of her practice time for Nate and his hockey team, but then her best friend starts dating his best friend, so they go to a party together. So they're like teasing each other, flirt bantering, what's the word they're like flirt fighting, and basically she challenges him to eat her out and it's apparently the best she's ever had, and then she starts avoiding him. So that was the first 100 pages of this book, and I am having such a hard time keeping track of specifically the male main characters because we only have like 3 female characters right now. We have Stasia, I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce her name. We have her best friend Lola, and then like some girl who's Lola's rival, Olivia. But then for the male main characters, we have Ryan, who Stasia was like in a friends with benefits relationship with, Aaron, her figure skating partner, Nate, who is the hockey player on the back of the book. He is the male main, he's that dude. And also, like, so many of his teammates who all have, like, generic white boy names. So you have Henry, Robbie, and Bobby, Jaden, I think there's a Hugh, just so many white boy names I'm having to keep track of, and it's a challenge. It really is. So let's hope that maybe we can have some more distinguishing personalities so I actually know who's talking now, because I'll be honest, it took me until like page 95 or something to even realize that Bobby and Robbie were two different peoples and not just different nicknames. I don't know how I feel about this yet. I mean, we're only a quarter of the way in, so we have some time. In terms of teaching me hockey, I have learned that they do it on ice and they wear jerseys. This is all of the hockey knowledge I have gleaned from Icebreaker so far. So far, not educational in helping me make some kind of intelligent remark when I go see an NHL game. I'm gonna go to bed because it's pretty late, and hopefully I'm less busy tomorrow, though this week is gonna be crazy. So maybe I'll hopefully get a good chunk read tomorrow and provide you with more updates. So I am about halfway through Icebreaker now, and the first 100 pages, like I mentioned in the last update, was very much about introducing you to all of these characters and their white boy names. The second 100-ish, closer to about 80 pages, is all about Nate and Anastasia just going at it. That boy has some stamina. And now I am just about halfway through, a little over 200 pages, and we are getting into the actual conflict, which up to this point, there have been like pseudo conflicts where mostly Anastasia mentions something that would be a blocker in the relationship, and then they promptly just ignore that to continue hooking up. But now Anastasia's partner for her figure skating injured his wrist and says that it was the hockey team that caused it, and Nate, trying to protect the rest of his team like the good captain he is, confesses for, I guess, reasons. He has basically been told he's benched until the figure skating partner, Aaron, is healed. And if my intention in reading this book was to learn the rules of hockey, and I should clarify that I chose this as my hockey romance for this because it was the hockey romance that I knew about. I am not a connoisseur of hockey romance. I am not a connoisseur of romance in general. This was just the hockey romance I knew about because it was on Book Talk at the time. I'm not getting any hockey here. There's been reference to maybe 3 games total. One that Anastasia's roommate Lola attended, but was like very briefly described that she attended it and that was about it. And then like 2 mentions of games that the team won and then partied after. So no actual games at all have been happening in terms of either of the characters actually attending or participating in a game that's happening in real time. So at this point, Nate is being benched because he is not allowed to play hockey until the guy is able to figure skate again, and we are halfway through this book. So I'm now increasingly concerned that this is a hockey romance in which there is no hockey. I will give you an update if and when they actually play a game of hockey. Now, since he's training with her, they won't even be having sex. So I'm getting neither hockey nor romance at this point. Took 321 pages, but we did finally get a scene where they're playing hockey. Is it just Stasia and Nathan on a pond in a backyard with a single net? Yes. But I'm begging for scraps at this point for any hockey references at all. So hockey is played with nets and sticks. Groundbreaking information, definitely well-educated now. Also, I don't know how I feel about the romance. Do they have anything in common other than fucking? Liking skating? That's tenuous in terms of long-term relationships, in my opinion. I have now finished Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and I'm about to do my caw pile for it. And I legitimately had to start taking notes on things I wanted to rant about, if that gives you an idea of how this is gonna go. So not covered by the caw pile system, but a rating of how much hockey knowledge I gleaned from this book that is allegedly about a hockey player, 0. Honestly, I think I learned the equivalent hockey knowledge that I would by looking at the hockey emojis. There's a stick and a puck, and there's a net, is the most hockey knowledge I got out of this. They don't talk about any games other than the one time they like play on the backyard lake. They talk about scores a couple times, like they beat UCLA 9-3 or something, but no hockey. No hockey to be had in here. However, this is one of my notes. I think they had sex in jerseys more often than they played hockey in this book. The hockey seemed to be an excuse for them to have sex in various jerseys. Zero hockey knowledge from this. Terrible if you wanted a hockey-based romance. Hockey player, I guess? But if you wanted actual anything about hockey, don't read this. Now we get into the caw pile. The C in caw pile for character. This is tough for me because in the majority of it was very much enjoying the characters. I thought that even the side characters were well fleshed out. I enjoyed some of the banter between the hockey team members and Anastasia. The problem is I found Anastasia started to get grating about 3/4 of the way through because she's been in therapy for years and she keeps using this therapy talk to pathologize herself and Nate. She's never really called out on doing that, so it just got very annoying. I don't particularly think Anastasia was a likable character. It's not written that she's not supposed to be likable. She's supposed to be likable. I couldn't stand her by the end. I think I'm gonna give this a 4 for character because the majority of the characters I liked Nate, I liked Lola, JJ, Henry, I liked all these people. Didn't like Aaron, but you're really not supposed to like Aaron, so that's fine. Anastasia seemed like we were supposed to like her, and I just didn't. So 4 for characters. I'm taking points off because Anastasia. Atmosphere, I'm giving atmosphere 3. I don't think there was necessarily anything wrong with the atmosphere, but it just didn't really add much one way or the other. They're set in a college and there's like passing mentions of like, oh, I gotta study for class, but there wasn't really any character to the university. It could have been any university. Same with the campus or the city that they're in. It really didn't have any unique attributes. It was fine. 3. Writing style. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I think I have to give this a 2 for writing style. I think that this book should have been shorter. It comes in at like 420 something pages. I don't think there was enough plot here to justify being 423 pages. The author kept introducing conflicts that would get resolved within 5 pages. And the author also kept recycling plot lines. So Anastasia and Nathan go to her hometown and they have dinner with her parents, and the waiter is her ex-skating partner / ex-boyfriend. Oh my gosh. And then it's fine. It's a little bit awkward, but then they get another waiter. And I'm like, okay, so what was the point of this? It didn't even cause any significant drama other than she blushed or whatever. And then like maybe 30 pages later, Nathan is out to dinner with Anastasia and his dad and sister, and oh, the waitress is someone he hooked up with in the past. And it's like, did we not just have this plot point just reversed 30 pages ago? And then also it's like the waitress was a little bit rude. Nathan's dad threatens to fire her, and that was it. And I'm like, this didn't add anything. Anytime any conflict was introduced, it just was so easily dismissed and resolved. And I think that was partially because we were switching perspectives every chapter. Something would happen very dramatic to Anastasia, and then we'd switch to Nathan and he'd just talk her down, and okay, that's resolved now. And then something else would happen that would be very stressful for Nathan, but then we'd switch to Anastasia's perspective, and oh, 2-week time jump, and now they've talked it out and it's fine. 2 for writing style. Just could have had some things cut out to actually focus on a main conflict here, which would have been the stuff with Aaron and Anastasia, which even throughout that, he'd do something dramatic and then we'd have like 20 pages of them having sex again. and then, oh, okay, Aaron's back in the picture and doing something else now. 2 for writing style, also a 2 for plot, because a lot of the plot points that got introduced got resolved so easily, or were like dramatic for maybe 3 seconds and then we moved on to something else. Like, I thought that Nathan getting benched because Aaron broke his arm and he got accused for it would have been more impactful on the story, because Nathan is a contender for the NHL. You would think being benched in his senior year for misconduct would have any kind of impact on him, but no, it's basically just an excuse for him to get closer to Anastasia, and like he tries out figure skating with her while Aaron's recuperating, and I'm like, this could have been an actual source of drama and conflict in this relationship, or conflict in Nathan's life, and it just went nowhere. What was the point of it? I don't know at this point. I just stopped caring at one point, because I'm like, oh no, something else dramatic. Are we going to just talk it out and then it's going to be fine? Or are we doing a 1 week time skip and then they talked it out and it's fine? None of the plot seemed to have any kind of stakes to it, because it just kept getting resolved so quickly. 2 for plot. Intrigue gets a 3 because I was a little bit invested in finding out exactly what the fuck Aaron did to his arm, because I know that Nathan didn't do it. And then also, just like, is Anastasia gonna come to her senses and realize that Aaron is a piece of shit? I just needed to know. I needed her to have that revelation. The only thing that was keeping me intrigued. It was like, girl, come to your senses. So it gets a 3. Logic and relationships, I'm giving it 2. I'm giving it some credit because the sex scenes were well done. Sometimes went on a little bit too long, but they were well done. They were steamy. They were good. The Uber scene, a little bit icky, but not quite as dramatically icky as I thought, given what people seem to be saying about it on the internet. The emotional connection between Nathan and Anastasia, I didn't get. It seemed to be mostly driven by lust. They just couldn't keep their hands off themselves when they were in the same room, and anytime they had a conversation about anything emotional, Anastasia just kept pathologizing and assuming that Nathan was doing these things for these reasons. Like, towards the end, there's the decision that Anastasia makes to get back together with Aaron for skating, and she's like, I am going to only do this on a partner. We're going to have a colleague relationship. I'm not going to be his friend. But then she agrees to move back in with him to like better connect with him. And Nathan's like, Anastasia, he is a terrible person. He basically gave you an eating disorder. He blamed Nathan for injuring himself, when you find out towards the end, yeah, absolutely, it wasn't fucking Nathan, and Aaron knew that, and he dropped her. So it's not even like he was a good skating partner. He was a terrible friend, talking shit about Anastasia behind her back, said that no one could love her because her own parents didn't even love her, and that's why she's adopted, and her adopted parents only like her because she's good at skating. Like, shitty fucking friend. Then also not a good skating partner because he dropped her, gave her an eating disorder, and would like groan and moan anytime she gained like half a pound. And I'm like, I get that, like, oh, I'm gonna be his colleague, but he wasn't even a good colleague. He wasn't even good for your career. So she's all like, it's not that Nathan actually doesn't want me to be with Aaron for the fact that Aaron's not good for me, and he doesn't understand why I think it's a good idea to be with Asa. It's all about Nathan's ego and wanting to protect me and be that macho protector. And I'm like, no, Aaron is legitimately a shitty fucking person. And it's written as if I'm supposed to identify with what Anastasia is saying about Nathan just being this big, strong protector who won't let her make her own decisions. And I'm like, no, he is trying to give you that advice that Aaron is neither a good friend nor is he a good partner for you to progress in your career as a figure skater, and you're not listening. Oh my god, it was so annoying because she was couching all of this in terms of therapy language, and it was so hard to read. So the relationship between Aaron and Anastasia, so frustrating. The emotional aspects of the relationship between Anastasia and Nathan weren't there. And then also Anastasia had better chemistry in terms of emotional compatibility with both JJ and Henry than she did with Nathan. Nathan and her had the lust. They didn't have any kind of the emotional connection. Her and JJ were like taking cooking classes together, and like, you have hobbies in common. Great. And then her and Henry were like so cute together, and then she's with Nathan, and I'm like, they just can't keep their hands off each other. They're not actually connecting on an emotional level. So I'm giving this a 2 for relationships, because honestly, they're gonna break up. We're going into enjoyability, a 2 for enjoyability. So for the majority of this book, I was going to give it a 3 for enjoyability because, you know, maybe it's just not my thing. There were some frustrating aspects about it, but I didn't think it was awful, and like, I didn't want to put it down at any point. But then, the epilogue betrayed me. There is a trope that I hate in romance novels, and that is the pregnancy epilogue. And this one not only gave me a pregnancy epilogue, it gave me an accidental pregnancy epilogue. Oh my god. Like, the pregnancy epilogue where it's like, oh my god, we're married and then we're finding out we're pregnant. Okay, that's one thing. But like, literally she puked up for a contraceptive right before performing at the Olympics, and her victory sex is what knocked her up. I was in public reading that, and I wanted to just across the bar I was in. So Icebreaker, 2.57. Among my lowest rated of the year now. This book was a failure, because not only did I not learn anything about hockey, but I also didn't get to read anything good. I'm gonna eat some chocolate and chill out now. So it started as a good intention to do a fun, lighthearted hockey reading vlog turned into a rant video. I got all of the main rants out last night, but there's 2 bonus things that are like weirdly specific pet peeves I had with this book that I wanted to include at the very end. So first of all, they do like a speed dating thing between the figure skaters and the hockey players near the beginning of the book. And one of the characters said that having a Cancer moon is a red flag. And as a Cancer moon, I take offense to that. What are you talking about? The other oddly specific pet peeve I had about this was this little paragraph here. He leans back against the pillows, letting me trail my fingers across the smooth, warm planes of his stomach, all the way down to his sweatpants. Gray, obviously, because Nathan Hawkins is a man who was most definitely written by a woman. You can't say that about a fictional character who is literally written by a woman. It's not a compliment. It's a literal fact. And in a book that doesn't break the 4th wall in any other ways, it just comes off as really braggy, honestly, and I hated it. I hated it so much. So those are my 2 oddly specific, not overarching issues with this book that I thought I'd throw in at the end here. I am headed to the game soon, and I would want to give hockey romance another chance, but one that actually has hockey in it. So if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for listening to my rant about Icebreaker. If you've read Icebreaker, let me know your thoughts on it down below. Did I maybe miss something? Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. There is now more hockey in this video than there was in the entirety of Icebreaker.